Hey everyone, and welcome back to the NIIT channel. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a fully working AI agent in Python and in less than 10 minutes. So this agent is called DataGen and it can generate sample user data, save it into JSON files, read those files back, and answers questions about them, all using LangChain, LangGraph, and a few custom tools that we will write together. So let's jump right in. So first what we are going to do is we are going to create a folder anywhere on your system. And I'm calling mine as dummy AI agent and I'm opening it inside my code editor. So you can use VS Studio, PyCharm or any other editor that you are comfortable with. I'm using Google Anti-Gravity for now. So once the folder is open, we are ready to set up the project environment. Now next what we will do is we will set up our Python environment using UV. So UV is a modern package and environment manager for Python. So open your terminal inside a dummy AI agent, and if the UV command is not found, just install it using homebrew with brew install UV. So this is gonna download the UV for you. So since I've already installed UV, so it's showing me a reinstall option over here. So I'm not going to do that. Next, I'm going to check if my UV has been installed or not. So I can check it by UV version. So as you can clearly see, we have installed our UV package. And now we will initialize the project in the current folder by running UV initialize dot. So what this command does is, this command sets up a Python project for us and wires it to a virtual environment managed by UV. So you'll see a pyproject.toml file created in a folder, as you can see that. Now let's install the dependencies our AI agent needs. And in the same terminal, just run this function, that is UV add LangChain LangGraph python .env LangChain OpenAI. Now LangChain is basically for working with language models and tools, and LangGraph is for building agents as graphs for reasoning steps, and python.env is for loading our environment variables from a .env file, and LangChain OpenAI is used to connect the LangChain to OpenAI's models. And once that is done, our environment is ready and we can start writing our code. So before we write the agent, we need to make sure that our code can talk to the OpenAI API. So in the project folder, you can just click on this button over here, new file, and you can create a new file as .env. Now what you have to do is you need to store your OpenAI API key over here. Now I already have my OpenAI key, but if you don't have that, you can just go to OpenAI platform and you can generate the OpenAI API key for you. So I'll just copy my key over here. Now with that done, we are ready to write our agent. So what you need to do next is you need to open your, first I'm going to save my .env file. Then after that, I'm going to open my main.py. So just remove whatever code is written over here. And I have the whole main.py I have the whole main.py code with me. So I'm just gonna attach that for you over here. And don't worry, I'll just attach this code for you in the description so you can go through it and refer it. So I won't be writing the whole code for you from the scratch, but I'm going to explain the code step by step and what's happening inside the code. So at the top of the main py, we start with our imports. So as you can see, these are our imports. And here's what this does in plain language. So we bring in standard Python modules like JSON.random and datetime to help with user data and timestamps. Then we import the chat OpenAI to access GPT-4 through LangChain. We import human message, AI message, and base message to represent messages in the conversation. And then we import tool. So you can basically turn normal Python functions into tools that the AI agent can call. Then we also import create React agent. This has been imported from LangGraph, which builds a React style agent for us. And finally, we import the load.env so that our OpenAI API key from the .env file is automatically loaded into the environment. And with imports and environment loading done, we can define the tools the AI agent will use. So these are our tools, and tools are what make this a real AI agent instead of just a chatbot. And each tool is a Python function that we can decorate with @tool, as you can see over here. And so the AI agent can discover it and call it when needed. So for this function, for this AI agent, I will create 3 tools. My first would be my write JSON. This is my first would be my write JSON. My second would be my read JSON. And my third would be my generate sample users. So I'll explain what this does to you. So this tool saves data to a JSON file. So it would take a file path and a Python dictionary, and it writes the dictionary into the file as pretty formatted JSON. And if everything works, it returns a success message, and if something goes wrong, it returns an error message. And the @tool decorator and the type hints tell LangChain how this tool can be called. Now with that, I'll move on to my read JSON. So what this tool does is it's doing completely the opposite. So it reads a JSON file from the disk, and it tries to open the file and pass it as a JSON. And if that works, it returns the data as a nicely formatted JSON string. And if the file is missing or invalid, then it returns a clear error message. So this gives the agent a way to inspect and reason over JSON files it has previously created. Now our third tool is generate sample users. So the third tool is the fun one. It generates the sample users, as you can suggest, as you can realize from the name. Now it takes the first name, which is the one first name for each user. It takes on the last name, which is a list of last name that we cycle through. Then we have domains, which is basically the email domains like gmail.com or company.com. And then you have min age and max age. So basically that's the age range of our users. And inside the function, we validate the inputs, making sure the lists aren't empty and the ages make sense. And then we loop over the first names and build a list of user dictionaries. And each user includes an ID, a first name, a last name, and email built from the name and domain, a random username, a random age, and a registered @ timestamp somewhere in the last year. So as you can see over here, this is my third tool. Now at the end of the tool returns a dictionary with the list of users and the total count. And these 3 tools together let the AI generate user data, save it, and read it back. Now after you have done creating your tools, you need to register it. So this is our function or our code for registering the tools. Now we collect all 3 tools into a list called tools, and tools with a capital letter tools. And this is the list that will give to the LangGraph when we create the agent, so it knows exactly what functions it's allowed to call. Now after that, what I'm doing here is I'm creating the LLM model. So as you can see over here, we create the language model instance. So we are using GPT-4 model through chat OpenAI with a temperature of 0. A temperature of 0 makes the model more deterministic and focused, which is exactly what we want for an agent that's generating structured data and calling tools. And then you have your system message. So the system message defines the role and behavior of our agent. So we tell it that you are a DataGen, a helper that creates simple data. And when generating users, you know which parameters that should be used. You should fill the sensible values yourself instead of asking the user for every detail. And when the user wants to save users, first generate them and immediately call the write JSON tool. And if the user vaguely says those users from before, don't guess, ask them to specify the details again. So this prompt keeps the agent focused on being a data generation assistant rather than a generic chatbot. Now after that, over here, we call create react agent and pass in. So we do that by as we want a language model LLM, a list of tools and a system message. So this would give a react style agent that can reason step by step and decide when to call tools like generate sample users or write JSON and then respond back to the user with final result. And then you might see a depreciation warning called create react agent moving in a future version, but for now this still works fine. Now over here, this is the conversation runner. So what this does is this helper function runs a single turn of conversation with the agent. So it takes the current user input and full history of messages so far, and inside it calls agent.invoke, passing in all the previous messages plus the new human message. And we also set a recursion limit of 50, which limits how many tools can the agent chain together in one turn. And then the AI agent returns a list of messages representing its reasoning process. And then we simply grab the last message from the list, which is the final AI response, and return it. And if anything goes wrong, we catch the exception and return an AI message that contains an error description so the conversation can continue gracefully. Now, after that, you have your interactive console app. So, what this does is, like, to be very honest, the whole function. So, what this would do is, the while true loop over here, the while true loop, uh, it it turns into a chat experience in the terminal, and it prompts the users with you and reads their input, as I'll show you once I run the agent. And if the user types quit, exit or queue or just presses enter, the program prints goodbye and exits. And otherwise we call run agent with the user input and the current history, and then print the agent response labeled as agent. And finally, we append the new human message and the AI response to history list, so future answers can take past context into account. So this is all we need to talk to our DataGen agent interactively. Now what we'll do is, I'll just save this file, and now we'll just run the agent and see it in action. So make sure your dummy AI agent folder in your terminal is still open. And to start the agent, what you need to do is you need to run this command uv run main, uv run python main.py. Now what this will do is uvrun activates the virtual environment for this project and runs the python main.py inside it using all the packages that we have installed earlier. And you'll see a banner printed over here and then a prompt that says you. Now what you need to do, you can just type in to your AI agent that generate me 5 random users. So the AI agent will process that. It will call the generate sample users tool and print out 5 randomly generated users with name, email, age, and registration dates. So we'll just wait for this to proceed. And as you can see, we already have our output over here. Now we can also type that make users aged 25 to 35 with company.com emails and save 3 of them to users.json, and the agent will do that too. So in this case, the agent will generate those users and immediately call the write JSON tool to save them into a file called users.json in the project folder, as you can see over here. And we'll just wait for the output. So as you can see, the agent responds with the output that the users have been successfully saved to the users.json. Now I can also type that what is the oldest user in users.json. Now this agent will now call the read JSON, inspect the file and tell me which user has the highest age, and all of that happens through the tools we define, orchestrated automatically by the agent. And as you can see, we already have our output that our oldest user is Bob, his last name is Johnson, we have his email, we have his username, his age, and the day of the registration. And that's it. So we just built a fully functional AI agent in Python in under 10 minutes. One that can generate realistic sample data, save it, read it, and answers questions about it using LangChain, LangGraph, and a few Python tools. From here, you can extend the agent by adding more tools, changing the system prompt, or swapping in different models. So if you know how to code, you can just code it manually, or you can now take help of several AI tools like Claude or OpenAI. And if you like to see more AI agent tutorials like this on the NIIT channel, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment with what you would like to build next. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.